News.
Thanks for having me.
Well, let's talk a bit more about that bill and the many other political issues at stake here in the US today. I'm joined on our panel by Republican strategist and former Deputy Chief of Staff to Housing Secretary Ben Carson, Deanna Bass-Williams, and by David Carlucci, Democratic strategist and former New York State Senator. Thanks to you both for being with us. David, I'll just go to you first. As we've heard from Congressman Fine there, he said Democrats have a year for constituents to see how Democrats have lied. What do you say to that?
Well, we're gambling with people's lives. Look, the Republicans know this is a disastrous bill, but the thing they fear more than 12 million people losing their health coverage is a nasty tweet coming from Donald Trump sitting at Mar-a-Lago. Donald Trump says jump, and these Republican lawmakers just don't even say how high. They just jump as high as they can. They shouldn't even be called congressional members or legislators. They're just note takers, taking the demands of Donald Trump, and anyone that speaks out, speaks a little bit of truth, gets kicked out of the party. Just talk to Senator Tillis or Representative Bacon. These members want to speak their mind, want to talk about the harms this bill will do, but they're not allowed to. And this is a great contrast between the Republicans and the Democrats in terms of a party in general. The Republicans have just become the thoughts of Donald Trump, where the Democrats actually have a big tent and diverse thoughts. So this is problematic for the American people. Everyone knows it, but Republican members are going to vote for it because they fear losing their job more than fear people being on the streets. And that's a shame.
Dina, what do you say to that? People are voting for their own jobs rather than...
I respectfully disagree. I think that most people in the Republican Party recognize that President Trump is delivering on his promise. And so the members of the House and the members of the Senate who are following President Trump are following him because the Republican voters have chosen him. And so this idea that people are afraid of tweets, of course, we have a president who loves to tweet or loves truth.
He is very powerful, though, when these threats about I'll primary you and you won't get on the ticket.
That is a threat. But the reality is Republicans wanted this. The Republican base, Republican voters,
they wanted the deficit to increase by $5 trillion.
Just one moment, David.
Voters wanted this. Yes, they wanted stronger borders. They wanted people who actually need to work for their benefits. They wanted all of these things. And as Congressman Fine just said, these estimates, Democrats are really good at projecting doom, and that's what they projected with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act in 2017, and that just didn't happen. 65% of the people who received tax breaks from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act in 2017 were middle-income Americans, and they're people who don't qualify necessarily for financial aid for their student to go to college, but they have to take it out of their own. So these benefits to working-class Americans are important. And I think that the reality is that American voters want people to work for their benefits. And that's what largely the thing that the Democrats are complaining about is actually having people, able-bodied people, work.
David, you wanted to come in there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to talk about Democrats saying it's all gloom and doom is nonsense. This is the Congressional Budget Office that is coming up with these numbers.
That's
a nonpartisan office that we have depended on for years.
But
anytime you don't like the numbers coming out of it, you just disgrace it. That's what Donald Trump's whole playbook is. Any disagreement, anyone that's not in line is not only wrong, they're a traitor to our country. Look what's going on with Elon Musk. He's actually talking about deporting Elon Musk. He's made comments like that. It's absurd. And I think it shows to the American public that there might be disagreements, but we don't even know about them because Republicans are scared to death to talk their mind. It's a fact. We know that. And that's the problem here. We did not sign up for much of this. There might be some little chunks of things that could be positive, but the negative far outweighs the positive.
87% of Republicans are supportive of this bill. So President Trump is delivering on what he promised. And by and large,
I don't remember raising the deficit by $5 trillion. I don't remember kicking 12 million people off of their health care coverage or cutting SNAP benefits.
Who are able-bodied. And this is what, if the media
there
and
are
if
members of your party, though, who've said for a long time no cuts to Medicaid, including the president himself.
What the president has done, the cuts to Medicaid are reasonable cuts to people who should be working.
But it goes beyond that. You have members of Congress even saying that this will kill rural hospitals.
Congressman Fine clearly said, and as if
there is, sorry, just to pick up on the point David's saying there is that issue about funding to rural hospitals, though many of whom their entire funding
there's a $25 billion increase to rural hospitals, and I work in rural communities most of the week, and I think that that is important. So those concessions have been made. There's in the bill, there's a concession for $25 billion to rural hospitals, but also this is what we have to connect the dots. When people are actually working and earning their own wages and paying for their own health care, they will be able to.
But not everybody has that same ability like you and I.
When people are able to pay for their health care,
but many don't.
Because they are let David in here, Dina.
Yeah, all I'm saying is that, yes, there's a drop in the bucket to these rural hospitals. Many recognize that the doors will be shuttered. ERs, emergency rooms, will be full. And if you don't prove your worth, you just won't get the chance to see a doctor. Look, we want people to work. There's no question about it. But many Americans just don't have that ability, or maybe they have a minor setback or a temporary setback. This bill will make that into a lifelong of destitute. This is a separation between the rich and the poor and
just a second,
squeezing the middle class.
If we talk over each other, no one hears anything. Yeah, you're okay, Dina. You can have a word, and then David and Ben.
This is the same argument that Democrats made in 1996 when welfare to work, when welfare requirements were work requirements were placed on welfare in 1996. That didn't, the doom that they forecast for that did not happen, and it will not happen for this either. What we're neglecting to realize is that when people, when families, when children see their parents working, and in many cases, it's actually in all of these cases, it's able-bodied people who don't even have kids. But when people are actually going to work and when they're able to pay for their health care because they have a job, hospitals will be supported. And one more thing, the CBO
just almost
predicted.
Out of time, Dina, and I just want to balance things up with a last brief word from yourself there, David.
Yeah, no, I mean, we can go back and forth, but what we have to do is have some trust in the Congressional Budget Office, in what actual healthcare professionals are saying, and they are saying this is extremely problematic. All that glitters not gold, and we can point out, we could take one egregious example, maybe of someone that is bilking the Medicaid system, and that probably exists, and we should do our best to go after that and root out fraud. But that's not what's happening in this bill, and this is a major lapse of trust in the American people.
We're going to have to leave it there, but it gives our viewers just a sample of what's going on up on Capitol Hill for the last week or two, and just how contentious this all is. Okay, we'll take this up another night. We're out of time for the moment. David Carlucci, Democratic strategist, and Dina Bess-Williams, Republican strategist. Thanks to you both for being with us here.
Great to be with you.